SJC here! So Girl with Dragon Tattoo is finally here, directed by David Fincher, and man oh man. Despite that, I was looking forward to this movie. The box office experience sort of soured my mood before the movie. It was Cheap Tuesday, and coincidentally, this movie came out on a Tuesday, and I was like, score! I get to the theater, and I found out that since the movie is coming out on a Tuesday, it's considered an advanced screening, so it's the usual price of $12.50 instead of $6.99. That got me angry because it was not advertised anywhere that it was an advanced screening. Rather, it was Columbia Pictures who pushed it up one day. That got me thinking, was Cinemas being a pain and trying to get more money out of this movie? Yeah, I was not impressed. But anyway, enough with the negatives. First off, wow. The soundtrack for this movie was superb. Those awesome tense moments and even those quick like, oh, what's really going on sort of scenes were awesome. Like, there would be your standard background music fitting the mood, and there would be like something that's in the background cutting through the background music, but at the same time infused with the background music that made it well and not awkward. At first I thought it was awkward, the first scene where it had this background cutting music sort of thing. It was like, what's happening? Like, am I hearing things? Like, is someone scraping something against the floor and making the sound? But then I realized it was part of the background music. And that was really cool. I mean, later on, when I pick up more of these scenes having this kind of technique, it was just like, wow, this is really awesome. I mean, you really have to have a good sound system to experience this, so you better watch this in theaters with the crazy sound. The cutting thing was not too much or too little. You would sort of sense it, but not ruin the background music in the film right now, at that moment. I seriously haven't heard anything before like it in theaters. I have read the books, so my judgment comparing to the book, I must say this film was a shallow, not shallow as in a bad thing, but not deep shallow sort of thing. Interpretation. I mean, I kept imagining that the movie had the skeleton of the bone. It had some meats and pieces here and there, but it wasn't the full book with all the whole body and meat and all the organs and stuff like that. Fincher did a really great job. He cut out the details and side plots and really got to the meat of the story that could fit in a 2.5 time slot for a movie. If you read the book, you would have enjoyed more of the relationships that existed and some of the side plots. If you haven't read the book, you would still enjoy this movie. Why? If you haven't read any Swedish crime fiction, you'll be in for a ride for sure. It's a shallow interpretation in terms of where there's some of the bits and pieces where it's sort of random, but it doesn't really need to be explained, but it's better to be explained because you will enjoy it better, so you should read a book for that sort of stuff. But in the movie, you're like, okay, I'm supposed to understand this. Some fat guy in a computer room means he's a hacker. I gotta believe that. Okay, moving on. The movie really pulls the novel into reality, and with the scenes they choose to do anyway, and it's really done well. This is an 18+ film. And it really needed that rating. I mean, you can't do it with a 14A or even a 17, because with all the nudity and sexual scenes, to really capture the messed upness of the world of Swedish crime fiction, you really need this rating. So kids, please do not sneak into this movie, seriously. You don't need to know this stuff or see it. The synopsis of the movie, pretty much it is old man hiring main character to solve a murder. That's pretty much it. So for actors, you have Daniel Craig, who plays the lead, Mikael Blomkvist. I totally butchered that name, probably. Daniel Craig, pretty good here, but does not really fully give the same vibe as his novel counterpart. He's close, but he's restricted to his script. If there was more stuff from the novel, I think he somewhat could have pulled off the actual counterpart of his novel character. With that said, he's not really the star of the film. Rooney Mara, man oh man, as Lisbeth Salander is ridiculous. She is pretty much the real-life Lisbeth. Her awkward social cues, her intelligence, and her just awkward social demeanor is just there and there. With the way that she doesn't like shaking her hand, or she just gets straight to the point. No oh, let me fluff it up sort of thing, but bam, 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 let me just get it on and let me move on. She is a very rich character in my opinion from the books, and she could have been fleshed out a bit, emphasizing her skills more maybe. Okay, she looks at something and puts it down and she's like, I got this. So that would imply she has photographic memory, right? Yeah, in a movie sense, of course. But in the novel, it's always brought up and she always oh, I don't have to read this because I have photographic memory. But in the film, not so much. That doesn't really need to bring up. I can't believe she was the first girlfriend of Mark Zuckerberg in The Social Network. From that acting to this acting, The Girl with Dragon Tattoo, wow. It's a crazy transformation, and Fincher, you really know how to choose your cast. So the old man I was talking about, the old man hiring main character to solve a murder sort of old man guy, He is played by Christopher Plummer, who is Henrik Wagner in the film. Never seen him in anything, but he was the voice of the evil old dude in Up from Pixar. And then you have Stellan Skarsgård, I cannot pronounce his name because it's actually Swedish, who plays Martin Wagner, another member of the Wagner family. He was in Thor and Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff like that. So these are the major players of the film. Some people that had bigger roles from the books were really downplayed, such as Erica Berger's role, Salander's two caretakers. Though not Niels Bergerman, I cannot pronounce at all, his side plot was completed in its entirety. What happened in the book happened in the film. Nitpicking! I wish there was more fleshing out of the relationship of the characters. Many details were mentioned in the passing, like I mentioned before, like the photographic memory. I wish Lisbeth's first caretaker, Helgon Palmgren, played a larger role. And had more screen time. He doesn't really have a lot of screen time. It feels like he was just shoved in there. He had a stroke. And that's where the story starts off with his side plot. And you see Lisbeth caring about him. And questions would be coming up. Like, why would she care about him when she doesn't give a crap about anyone else in the world? I think there would have been so much more character development that could have been made with his relationship with Lisbeth. And I think that would have made it even more stronger character for Elizabeth herself. Because, you would have her darkness and you would have her sort of lightness from here where she's good and kind and caring here. Mariam Wu is in here, and who in the books don't exist until the book number 2. She's played by a French-Cambodian woman. Why couldn't they just find an actual Asian woman? Is it too much to ask in Hollywood to believe that someone like Lisbeth, who's antisocial and has really awkwardness to her, that she would like Asians? So that's pretty much it. Everything was good. Fincher did a great job. Despite it being shallow in terms of not being deeper, it's not shallow as in like, not really getting anywhere. But it was good quality. And you don't need to read the books to like this film. But seriously, be warned of this sexual and graphic content of this movie. It's not really 18 plus just for swearing, but rather the sex and the graphic stuff that's in this film. I did pay full price for once, and I would again. Buying this on Blu-ray for sure. I have yet to watch the Swedish version, but from what I heard, the Swedish and this is pretty much the same in concept, but not the soundtrack. The soundtrack here is supreme over it. I wonder about the acting, since I saw the Swedish lead in Sherlock Holmes last day. So yeah, check this out for sure. Like, seriously, check it out. It's about Swedish crime, which hasn't been done much in the Hollywood Western movie world. So I think you would like it much more compared to all this like conspiracy crap where like moles are going here and there and trying to screw up the world, or like world domination sort of thing. But correct me if I'm wrong, if there are Swedish films that have been out there. Swedish crime films. And watching this film makes me wish there were more than 3 books that are out. I wish they hurry up and somehow finish the last 7 or something like that. So that is my review of The Girl with Dragon Tattoo, directed by David Fincher. Like it, check it out, and see you Friday.